Hello, world. We totally just spaced out. We spaced
on
our live show. This month. So we're doing it now. I don't know if anyone will show up. Nobody's here now, but we're still talking because it was kind of last minute. But yeah, we just totally. It's been a rough month, guys.
It's been a rough month, friends.
And we just totally spaced on it. So sorry about that. But this month we were reading books of genre fiction in translation.
Yes.
And
I read Hex by a
person,
an author who wrote the book Hex. I'm trying to stall. So memento.
I'll go ahead and mention mine. I've in classic SueCee manner. I forgot to bring my actual physical copy, but I read the Deep Sea Diver Syndrome. I don't know if you can see that very well. There's the cover. But it's by Serge Brussolo and translated by Edward Gauvin, translated from the French. And it's a sci-fi novel, and it's set in this futuristic world where instead of like the new form of art that's popular is these things that some people who have the gift for it can manifest these like corporeal shapes from their dreams. And it was not what I was expecting at all, and not in a good way, unfortunately. I just thought it was really stupid for the most part. And because this guy, the main character, dreams that he's a jewel thief. And so the bigger the thing he steals is, like the bigger his treasure, the bigger and better his artwork is going to be. And the artworks are just, the way they're described sounds really creepy and disgusting. Like, ew, why would anyone want that? It's like the way they're described is like they're kind of fleshy and they seem like maybe they could be living, but they don't really know if they're living or not.
Ooh.
And they sound disgusting, and they do eventually like kind of die and start rotting. But they also
I don't like the word fleshy.
But they also like make you feel things if you're around them.
Oh.
So if they're a really great work of art, they'll make you feel really good, So that's probably why people like them. But yeah, basically this guy he dreams as a jewel thief, but he's not been doing well lately. Like he hasn't been able to
steal anything
big. And he's kind of having an issue with like thinking his dream world is real. Ooh. And that's like something that is dangerous for all the dreamers. And basically, I'm gonna spoil this whole book, but it was bad, so I don't recommend reading it anyway. But like in the end, first of all, it was fairly sexist. Like there was just a lot of stuff in it that really bothered me. Oh, someone's turned around in your driveway and Sasha's very concerned. But so there was a lot of sexism in it, but then there was also racist stuff, but like weirdly, like it didn't even need to be in there. Like the main character is really obsessed with these like pulp fiction, like detective novels, and he quotes one of them at one point, and it says the character in the book is talking about an Asian woman and says she had eyes too almond shaped to be trustworthy. And so, but then that had nothing to do with the plot of the actual book, and the main character made no comment on it. I was like, why was that even in there?
Nonsense.
Yeah, and then there was there was another thing. Like, there's another big famous dreamer, and when he was talking about what this guy's dream world was, it was kind of like racist. Like he was the leader of this these like tribes people in Africa, and like it was it was kind of there was some racist stuff in there, I thought. But then in the end, it's like nothing of any significance happens. Like he ends up going into the dream world unsupervised, because he has this woman who like supervises him while he's dreaming, because he can be dreaming for like hours or days or weeks at a time. So she makes sure that he stays alive.
Okay.
While he's dreaming, and but he goes into a dream without telling her because he doesn't want her to know, and but then she comes over to his apartment and discovers it and pulls him out, and like they liken it all to diving, which is what it's called, the deep sea diver syndrome.
Right.
So if you come out too fast, it's like you get the bends.
Oh.
And so it's really bad. And so he's in too deep, and then he comes out too fast. And so he's in this like vegetative state where he's aware, but he can't move or do anything. And she like, it's kind of like a misery type situation where she's for some reason in love with him, even though he's a total loser in the real world. So that was kind of like, but why though?
Yeah.
And is kind of like holding him captive. But then in the end, he ends up going back into his dream world and staying there, and his physical body dies. And then it doesn't make any sense that the dream world still exists, but whatever. So it was just a really stupid
version of the
so
afterlife,
unfortunately,
maybe.
Yeah, I guess. Unfortunately, but he wouldn't like. The way they described it, like he wouldn't stay there forever. Like the dream world would eventually deteriorate.
Oh. So it shouldn't be able to continue.
Right. Then. It was stupid. It didn't make any sense. It was just pointless and dumb, and I didn't enjoy it. And I was looking at some of the Goodreads comments, and some of them were, someone said that this was not, like, they were like, I don't understand out of all of this author's books why they chose to translate this one, because it wasn't a good, so maybe he has better books out there, I don't know, but yeah.
That one was not.
Anyway. Yeah, so unfortunately mine wasn't great.
Mine, so Hex is by Thomas Old Huvelt, and it was translated by Nancy Forrest Flyer from Dutch. It was a horror novel, and it was about a town in upstate New York that is haunted by this woman who was killed in the 1600s for being a witch. And a lot of like really terrible things happened to her before she died. Like the townspeople kind of tortured her. Excuse me.
Sasha.
My dogs are on one. Do you guys want to go outside?
Yeah, if any of you guys watching read any genre books in translation, let us know. Or if you have in the past, let us know. If you have any recommendations for something better than the shitty one that I
read. I really liked the book that I read. My husband tells me it sounds like a lot like the plot of Silent Hill, but I don't know anything about Silent Hill, so I wouldn't know that. But this woman haunts this town, and it's weird because she's kind of corporeal, like she is physically there, like you can bump into her and stuff, and she can't like necessarily pass through walls or anything, but she can like disappear and reappear places. So she's like semi-corporeal, and her eyes and her mouth are sewn shut because she has like the evil eye. And so at some point in time, like in the 50s or in the 60s, I think, or 70s, these scientists, maybe after that, I don't know, these scientists or military men or whatever captured her and sewed her eyes and her mouth shut. When that happened, like several people died from getting that close to her and stuff. And if you hear her whisper, you go crazy.
Oh, so that's
and kill yourself.
Yeah.
So, and also like once you live there, you can't leave. Like if you leave, then you go crazy and you kill yourself. So you're kind of trapped in the town and you just have to live with it. And all the townspeople are just used to it. And they have this like tech network set up where they track her. There's like an app that all the townspeople use to like log her appearances and stuff. But they're keeping it a secret from anyone outside the town because they don't want, because anytime outsiders have gotten involved in the past, a bunch of people have died. So they're like, well, we'll just deal with this, and that's our burden to bear or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's about this family kind of dealing with things as they escalate. Like, I don't want to spoil the book because it was actually pretty good. So like, I would recommend it.
Unlike me, I'm like,
don't read it.
Don't read this fucking book. Let me tell you how it is.
It is the lamest. This book is really good, so I don't want to spoil the ending, but it's that maybe things are not quite what they seem, is what I will say. And so it goes a little.
There's a twist.
A little bit, kind of, yeah. So, I mean, would recommend. I think I gave it like 4 stars. I enjoyed reading it. It was creepy.
Yeah.
It was one of those books I didn't really realize how creepy it was until I like set it down, and then like had like some time, like an hour or so later, I'm like, it's fucking creepy. Like I kept walking out, like walking into different rooms in my house, expecting this like dead woman to be there.
Yeah,
she wasn't.
I gave my book 2 stars because it wasn't the worst book I've ever read. But it wasn't good. I reserved 1 star for like
fucking hated
completely, fucking. And this one I didn't fucking hate, but I didn't like it.
I didn't like it.
I didn't like it. I actually haven't had a 1-star read all year.
I don't think I have either.
So
that's pretty good.
Yeah. It is kind of interesting though, because what I find interesting about translated works is that it can be hard sometimes to know if the writing is really bad or if it was translated poorly.
Right.
Or like they could translate it and enhance the writing, Like
right.
The translator could have a huge effect on
if the book is good or not. Yeah.
Hi, Books and Baking.
Hi, Books and Baking.
Yeah, so that's because I know that there's that can affect your enjoyment of the book. So you might, maybe if I read the French version, if I could read French, maybe I would have liked it. I don't know.
Fishy Murphy.
But based on the content, I did it. Because it was less the writing that I had a problem with and more the plot. So probably not, but Yeah, so I don't know. Does anyone have any translated works to recommend? I don't know that I've read a lot of other translated genre fictions. I guess you could call Dolly City genre fiction. Because that was maybe sci-fi. It was weird as shit. I guess it was kind of dystopian. Because it's set in like a futuristic but fake city in Israel.
Okay, so yeah, like dystopian or sci-fi.
A non-book question: how did you deal with the first day of school? Like when we were kids, or like
when we were in college?
Now. Because now I didn't.
It does not affect me whatsoever.
Although I have been helping my sister pick her kids up from school, but college. Well, let me try to think back.
We're throwing it back, way back. I remember like it was always a really mixed feeling for me because I don't like school. I'm good at school, but I don't like it because it's a lot of forced social interaction, and I feel like a lot of it is a colossal waste of my time, and because I would much rather just learn independently, because I'm a hermit. So it was always like I had a lot of mixed feelings about it, and I get anxiety about like being in crowds of people. So colleges, crowds of people. So I would always sit in the front row in class. I was that nerd because I also have ADHD. So if I sit in the back, I get distracted by other people and what they're doing. But if I sit in the front, then I can focus more directly on the professor and what they're talking about. But the downside to that is the professors can see you roll your eyes sometimes.
I think I don't really remember when I lived on campus my first year. It was a lot easier because you can just roll out of bed and go to class, basically. But I think the thing I was most nervous about was finding my class and like accidentally, I was like always afraid that I'd accidentally end up in the wrong class. So I would say if that's something that makes you nervous, you might like go around and find your classes ahead of time, or just make sure that you have the rooms all written down, because I'm also the queen of never being prepared. So I'd be like, or the queen of like thinking I'll remember things and then I don't.
I am.
So I never write things down. I'm like, oh, I'll remember that, and then it leaves my brain like 5 seconds later. So yeah, just
also like don't feel like you have to write down everything the professor says. Like that was one thing that my classmates, I saw them doing. Like they were just like furiously scribbling notes during class, and they were just like writing down everything the professor said. Hit the key points. I mean, hit the high points.
Yeah.
If the professor repeats something a lot, write it down because it's important.
Yeah. Julie H said she ended up in the wrong class once. Luckily, everyone helped me find my way.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really not a big deal if you do end up in the wrong class. Like,
just act like you are a singing telegram.
Right.
If that happens. And just sing everyone a song. Sing them the Back to School song from Billy Madison, and they will totally appreciate it, I promise. Yeah. That's good advice. You should follow that. Also, if you do it, just record it and send it to me.
Yeah. Yeah, not a people fan. I was kind of the same. Like in college, I kind of regret that I didn't do any extracurricular things, which I was working, so I didn't really have time for that shit.
Same girl.
For the energy for it. But I made no lasting friends in college. Like I have no college friends.
No, I didn't really either. But I think that like I'm very purpose driven. Like I'm really task driven, and so for me, like I was in college to get a degree. Like I was in college to learn. Yeah. I was not in college to make friends or socialize or whatever. Which is, and where I went to college, I didn't go to the best college for me. Don't put it that way.
Maybe a lot of the people there, maybe you didn't really want to hang out with.
I also was not like super popular, but surprise. So said no one. So yeah, I mean, for me, I wasn't there to make friends. I was working full time. I didn't live on campus except for like the first 2 semesters, and that was because it was a requirement for the first 2 semesters. And even then, like I found a loophole to get out of it because I hated it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, like I would say just like don't feel pressured to get involved, but if there is something that you find interesting, like don't be afraid to.
Yeah.
Like if there's something that you think would be cool, like dive in.
Yeah. What other wisdom could we impart
about college?
I wouldn't like, for me, I feel like in high school teachers always try to scare you and be like, your college professors aren't going to let this fly. And it's like, for the most part, college professors are like, as long as you show up to class most of the time and, do your assignments, and like, as long as you're a good student, if you have an issue, like with maybe you can't turn an assignment in on time or you have to miss a test, then they'll usually work with you and be, they're understanding. Most of them are. Like, you might have a dickhead here and there, but most of my professors were all really nice.
Yeah, most of mine were pleasant enough. Again, given where I went to college, I had some issues with some of them, but they were all really great about like because I was working full time, and I went to college and grad school full time. When I was in grad school, that sounded like I did all 3 at the same time. I did not. And so sometimes I was not able to turn things in on time. And they were really great about granting me extensions and trying to work with me. So that was nice.
Yeah. So generally your professors understand that like, you got other things going on in your life.
Right. I mean, most of the time,
Yeah, so as long as you're not constantly, late to class or missing class or having excuses for not turning your stuff in time or whatever, then
they're cool.
You're probably fine. But
there are still group projects in college, though. Fair warning. So if you like school but not people, it will happen to you.
I didn't have to do that many group projects in college myself, but
I didn't have to do a ton of them.
a few, but not that many.
Yeah, I had to do a couple.
Yeah.
And I just always would rather do it myself.
Yeah.
So I was like, how about you guys just don't, and I'll just do it.
Yeah.
I remember one group project, or it wasn't a group project, it was like a group exercise. We like had to get into groups of like 3 people, and you had to tell a story. And it was about active listening skills. And so it was like, you're supposed to demonstrate that you're listening really well to the other person. And there was this guy in my group, and the entire time I was talking, he was like,
he wasn't even looking at you.
He was thinking about the story he was going to tell me. Oh. And so he was not even, like, you could have quizzed him on what I said and he would have no idea.
Wow.
So that was like probably the funniest one that I ever had. Don't bark.
The only time I actually remember doing a group project was in, I think most people have to take a class like this in college, or it's like, I forget what they called it, but it's basically like a sort of like introduction to college class sort of thing.
It's like a seminar or something, like a freshman seminar or some nonsense.
Yeah, it was kind of like that, and we had to do really stupid shit in there. And I remember we had to do a group project. I don't even remember what the project was, but it wasn't that bad. Like, people in my group were all right. So, congratulations, Jody.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Daughter going to college. I hope she had a good day.
That's awesome. Yeah, I hope she had a good day of college classes. I hope she has cool professors.
Yeah. And hi, Mindy. Sorry, this was a last-minute live show, so that's right why you missed the memo.
That was our bad, because we forgot all about this month.
Yeah, it's just been a rough month. Like, not for like any particular reason. It's just like been busy, and we had the weekend we were supposed to do the live show. We had a rough weekend, and then like 2 days later we were like, oh shit.
Oh no.
But anyway,
yeah, so
yeah. But if any of you guys have anything to say about the books, let us know. If you got any other questions.
Any other questions?
About college or anything else.
Yeah.
Let us know.
I keep seeing on Facebook, everyone's like back to school pictures, and it's super adorable.
Yeah. Pretty cute.
Really cute.
My poor niece had such a rough. My niece started kindergarten, and she's very shy, and she had a rough go of it. She cried. The Friday, she did okay. Like, the teacher, Jen said she didn't. I think she only cried at home,
and not at
school.
Good.
The teacher said she was getting better. So
good.
Yeah, but she cried every day, and then she, I guess, wasn't eating her lunch. Like, the teacher said she hadn't touched her lunch for like the first 3 days of school.
Poor kid.
Like, oh, poor little Kenna.
Poor little Kenna.
So shy and introverted. That was me in kindergarten too.
Yeah, I was.
I remember crying my first day of school.
I did. I cried when I went to preschool, and I just felt incredibly uncomfortable because the chat.
Oh, the chat just disappeared.
I was used to hanging out with.
Oh, there it went. Oh,
there we go.
Oh,
there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, I was used to hanging out with adults because I was the only child for like 4.5 years. So when I went to preschool, I was not used to interacting with children because my grandmother watched me when my mom was working. So, and I had a couple cousins I would hang out with, but they were older than me. Mm-hmm. So then they were like, here's a room full of kids your own age. And I was like,
yeah,
why are they so young though?
Yeah, I had one friend, a girl my mom used to babysit before school, but we weren't in the same class. Mm. And then she made friends with a mean girl who told her not to talk to me anymore.
That's bullshit. Want to go back in time and kick their asses?
Yeah. I was friends with the girl. Then in first grade, we were in the same class, and we became friends again. And then we were friends for ever. Like, okay. I still consider her my friend, even though I don't really see her anymore. But. And the mean girl died in a car accident.
Oh, God. Okay, so we're fine.
Just got dark. Sorry. Anyway.
Okay. So Mindy says, what books did you read? I read Hex. For some reason, why can't I remember this dude's name?
Why is the chat keep disappearing? I read The Deep Sea Diver Syndrome by Serge Brusolo, and I do not recommend it. It wasn't very good.
And I read Hex by Thomas Oldhuvelt, and I do recommend it. It was very good. It was translated from Dutch, and it is a horror novel, and it was pretty great. It was good. I totally recommend it. Creepy.
Julie said it's interesting we started school here already. Yeah, I think Missouri starts school. I think most places start in September, and Missouri always starts like mid to late August.
Yeah, because I know like Springfield schools started like Thursday or something. Which also like
does seem kind of early. I thought I remembered when I was a kid starting at the end of August.
Yeah, because I feel like we went back to school. Even in Michigan, we went back to school and then we had Labor Day off, or we went back to school like the week of Labor Day or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, we start kind of early here, I think.
Yeah, I think parents here are just like, go to school.
Please get out of my house.
Get out.
Mindy read The Light of the Fireflies by Paul Penn. It was a messed up psychological thriller.
It sounds pretty cool.
Good. What language was it translated from?
Yeah. Books and Baking read the Modern Fairy Tale series.
Oh, that sounds cool.
That sounds pretty boss. What language was that translated from?
Cruel Prince. I've heard of that series. Is that translated? I don't know why I said it so high pitched. Translated from Spanish. Nice. I've heard kind of mixed things about the Cruel Prince. Or no, I'm thinking of the Captive Prince. That's a different one.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what Cruel Prince is then. Maybe. Have you ever heard of that? I don't know. I'm very tired. I'm sorry.
This Monday was like
the Monday
burning dumpster fire of a Monday. This is terrible.
His perspective of a child, such as whole family had spent his life in a basement apartment.
Oh. Okay.
So the whole family never left?
That's interesting.
Like in a bunker? Like Blast from the Past. Remember that movie?
Oh, yeah.
I like that movie.
I just like quacked.
Oh man.
My dogs are beautiful.
If only you guys could have seen that.
My dogs are playing right over here. And I don't know. I think that Murphy just wore Noonie like a hat for a second.
It was really funny. Sorry.
Okay.
They never leave and he slowly figures out why.
That sounds pretty interesting. I liked Room, so I mean, I like that premise is interesting.
Yeah,
I dig that.
We were kind of trying to think earlier of like other translated works we'd read, works of genre fiction. I think Dolly City is one that I read, which was translated from Hebrew, which is kind of interesting. That book was bonkers, but I enjoyed
that shit bananas crazy.
Yeah,
I want to read it because it sounds. I was gonna say it sounds fun, but like,
I mean, it is in a really twisted way. If you, I think that if you had children, it could possibly bother you.
That's fair
because she's
doing like surgeries on
physically abusing the child, really.
Yeah.
But it's like coming from a place of love, you know.
Right.
So it's a fucked up book.
It sounds pretty fucked up.
But yeah, I like it. It also has a lot to do with like the like state of politics in Israel at the time, I think so. But I don't know what else.
I've read like The Shadow of the Wind, and I've read those 3 books which are translated from Spanish. Shoo. Baby. Sorry, my dogs are monsters. You guys want to go outside?
yeah, I don't know. I'm sure I've read other books of genre. Well, there's a Planet for Rent. That was science fiction translated from Spanish, and that was really good too.
Yeah, the Cemetery of Forgotten Books series was awesome. And then I also read The Prince of Mist, which is also by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, translated from Spanish. And that's kind of like horror, creepy.
I really need to read The Shadow of the Wind, but I just can't start another series right now. I did just finish a series though.
Well, then you need to replace the series.
I would like to finish a couple more before I do that. But yeah, do you guys have any thoughts on translated fiction or translated literature?
And like how the fact that it's translated can affect the story or not affect the story? What do you guys think?
Yeah, because it'd be interesting to read. Like, I would kind of like to read, because I think the copy of We I have is a different translation than yours.
Oh, yeah, it'd be cool to read both
So
of them.
I think it'd be interesting to read two different translations and see if it really makes a big difference.
Read the differences between them.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool. I wish I was bilingual, because I think it'd be cool to read the work in its original language and then read it the translated version.
Yeah, because for some languages there's probably not an equivalent for certain words in English, so the translator would have to, decide what to use instead.
What did you think of The Shadow of the Wind, Mindy? Did you like it?
Yeah, maybe we should do that with We, though. That could be interesting.
That would be really cool.
I think my version is different. I don't know if I looked at the translator, but I remember when we were flipping through, there was some words that were different in mine than in yours.
Yeah.
So maybe we should do that and
that'd be fun, and do
trade copies
and read each other's.
Yeah, an interesting video to do.
That'd be fun.
Mindy's been a big fan of the translated works she's read. I mostly have two, but I just didn't enjoy the Deep Sea Diver Syndrome, because I've read like Let the Right One In was translated from Swedish, I believe, and that was really good. I don't know. I feel like a book would have to be good to get translated.
You would think. You would think it would have to be, successful in its original language to be then translated into other languages.
Right.
But I mean, the Bible's translated into other languages, so.
Well, it was very successful.
I know. But yeah, I don't know.
Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? Oh, we should pick our new category. We're running out of, I only have 4 challenges left to do on the Read Harder challenge.
Yeah, I don't have very much either. I need to actually go through and update this, because I'm not using this anymore. I'm using my electronic copy.
Oh, yeah. I know that I'm planning to do the Book of Colonial or Post-Colonial Literature soon anyway.
Okay.
So that would be convenient for me. But we can do something else.
I need to, and have been avoiding this.
Yeah, we could do that, because I need to do that one too. An assigned book you hated or never finished. What do you guys think of that? That could be interesting.
Any takers? Yeah, I need to update this, because I've done a couple of these like differently than I had planned.
Yeah, I just have 4 left. I have those 2, an essay anthology, and a celebrity memoir. Are my only 4 left.
I have a book published posthumously, a comic written and illustrated by the same person.
You might want to look through your stuff you've already read, because you might have already read a book published posthumously.
That's true.
You never know.
And an assigned book I hated but never finished. So I think I have 3.
I had accidentally clicked on Scooby-Doo and the Deep Sea Diver. I was like,
that probably would have been better
probably
than the Deep Sea Diver syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just have 3 left to do, which is surprising because last year I did not finish the Read Harder challenge, which was a bummer.
I barely finished it. I finished it on December 31st.
You did?
I did. Oh, and the book I read was a book of genre fiction and translation. That's not what the challenge was, but
that's what you read.
I read Fever Dream by Samantha Schweblin, I think.
I almost bought that book.
Which was translated from Spanish.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It was good. I don't know that I fully understood it, but I enjoyed it.
But it was good.
Nobody's saying anything, so should we just go with an assigned book you hated or never finished?
Yes, let's do that.
We're doing it.
So I'm planning to read The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck because I had to read that in school and I fucking hated it. So I've been putting it off because I fucking hated it. So I'm hoping that now, like 30-year-old Megan can appreciate what Steinbeck was trying to say, whereas like high school Megan really hated that book.
Yeah.
I thought it was really boring.
That turtle chapter is rough, but I thought the rest of it was really good. Have you read the Millennium Trilogy by Steve Larson? No, is that the girl who the girl with the dragon tattoo? Is that the Millennium Trilogy? Part of the Millennium?
Because I've read half of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and then got immensely bored. And
really,
yeah,
I owned that book for a while and then I finally got rid of it because I was like, I don't think I'm ever gonna read this. Mostly because I know it's very rapey, and I was super just rapey. Like, I'm probably gonna just put this off forever because I don't
want to read that. Scenes. Yeah, and like I've heard that if you can get through the first half, like the second half is actually like engaging and really good. Mm-hmm. But the first half is like laying a lot of groundwork, and it's incredibly boring. Mm-hmm. At least in my opinion.
Yeah, I've heard like, I don't know. I feel like it is kind of one that's a little polarizing. Like I've heard a lot of people say it's fantastic, and a lot of people who said they couldn't get through it. So
yeah, that first half I was like, God damn, all right, shit.
I don't know. Maybe I'll read it someday, but yeah.
Just skip it and watch the movie on it.
Yeah, and I plan to read Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by Robert M. Pirsig. I don't know, Pirsig. I was supposed to read that for I took a philosophy class in high school. I took a philosophy class in college too for some reason.
I took a philosophy class in high school or in college too.
In high school, I was supposed to read Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, and I read like the first 3 chapters, and I hated it. So I told my teacher that I was not going to finish it.
Rebel Susan.
So I was being a little punk ass kid, which was weird, which was very out of character for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to read that. I still have my copy from high school because I think we had to buy them ourselves.
Really?
I think so, because this class was like one that a bunch of people petitioned so that we could have a philosophy class. Our class was all about petitioning to get classes. We got a philosophy class and a zoology class added.
Okay.
And I took both of them.
I mean, zoology sounds cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think maybe the school didn't have the budget for the books or something. So I think the teacher was like, is it okay with you guys if you have to buy these? And we said, yeah, so whatever. Yeah, I didn't hate a lot of my assigned books either. That was the only one that I would say that I hated, but then again, I didn't finish it, so I can't really say for certain if I would have hated the whole thing. The only other one I know that I can remember that I didn't finish was one for I had a world history class in college, and we were supposed to read a book it's a nonfiction book called King Leopold's Ghost, about King Leopold and how he basically was responsible for the slave trade, sort of, or mostly responsible in Africa, but I just didn't finish it because I just didn't have I think I didn't have time to finish it before I was supposed to, and I just never ended up doing it. Anyway, Ruben hated Shakespeare. I was all right with Shakespeare. I only had to read Romeo and Juliet when I was a freshman in high school, and I didn't care for it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
And then I had to read Hamlet when I was a senior, and I kind of liked Hamlet. I only had Finnish classics, and even then I probably had to read like 5 during my 12 years of schooling. Finnish classics. I don't know if I know any Finnish classics.
I don't think I would know any Finnish classics.
No.
We mostly just had to read primarily American literature, because America. But we did read Shakespeare, and we did read like the Odyssey, I think. But other than that, it was a lot of like Mark Twain.
I had to read Mark Twain, and I think we had to read either The Adventures of Tom Sawyer or Huck Finn, or maybe both, in middle school. And then in high school, I had to read the Odyssey and Dante's Inferno.
Oh yeah, I think we did read Dante's Inferno.
1984.
See, I didn't have to read that in school.
Really? I had to read 1984 and Brave New World and Anthem.
That's awesome.
A lot of dystopia. Well, it was all for the same teacher.
Nice.
But for some of them were for different classes with him, though.
I took a class with, what was it? I don't remember what class it was, but the English teacher was really cool, and he loved Ray Bradbury, and so we read a shit ton of Ray Bradbury for his class, which was really fun.
Yeah, I never had to read any Ray Bradbury. I wish I had, because I read Fahrenheit 451 on my own time, and I loved it. I'm probably going to mispronounce this, so I apologize, but Sinuhe the Egyptian is probably the most famous Finnish classic, also the Moomins. I have not heard of either of those things.
I have not either. Would you recommend?
Check them out if they have them in translation.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what my favorite thing I read for school was. I know I did have to read in college. I had to read The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton, and I loved that book. Also The Awakening by Kate Chopin. Yeah, I liked that a lot when I read it. Ooh, I had to read Kindred by Octavia Butler in college, and
Queen Octavia.
Bloodchild, one of her short stories. So that was my introduction to Octavia Butler. So thank you, my college women's lit teacher.
And same, because that's how I heard about Octavia Butler. So I don't know what my favorite thing I had to read for school was. Maybe The Giver, like when I was young.
Really?
I think I read The Giver in school.
I've never read The Giver.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I reread it recently and still liked it a lot.
Yeah, so we had to read Little House on the Prairie because I grew up 20 minutes away from where Laura Ingalls Wilder lived. So we're all about Laura Ingalls Wilder down here. I remember going on a field trip to her because they made her house into a museum. And I remember going on a field trip to the Laura Ingalls Wilder house when I was in 2nd grade, and it was pretty boring. Yeah.
I don't know that we had any books we had to read from by someone who was from Michigan, but I know that we did have to take Michigan history twice. You take it once in 4th grade and again in 10th grade.
I don't remember. I know I had to take Missouri at least once, Missouri history, and we had to pass the Missouri Constitution test in high school to graduate.
Oh.
Yeah, we had to pass the Missouri Constitution and the U.S. Constitution test, which were both really fucking easy. On the U.S. Constitution test, if I didn't know the answer, I just said Congress, and I only missed. I think I missed out of 100 questions. I think I maybe missed 5.
Oh wow!
And I know that I guessed on way more than 5. so the answer was just Congress.
All the time.
I'm all of them.
Always Congress.
But anyway, maybe we should save this discussion for next time, since we're going to be talking about Those kind of the books we read in school.
Yeah.
So unless anyone's got any other
questions,
comments, concerns, then we will bid you adieu.
Yeah.
And see you next month. And this time, let's see, when's the second week in September? It's next month, right?
Oh, I might be.
Yeah, we might. September's busy, so yeah, because it's the 9th, so you're gonna be gone, right?
Yeah, I'll be in Eureka Springs. So we can do the 16th if you're gonna be around.
I think, yeah, that should be fine.
Or the 2nd, because we're Labor Day's the 3rd. So.
I don't think I'll have time to read that book by the 2nd. Because I have to read.
That's true.
My book club book. I'm reading *Sapiens*, which is like a 400 and some page book, and then I'm buddy reading *The Last of the Mohicans* with Amber.
Oh, right,
which is a fairly long book, so I probably won't have time to read. So how about the 16th? We'll do the third week in the third Sunday in September.
Yeah. Just wanted to say greetings from Finland and thanks for the No BS channel.
Oh, no problem.
We're No BS kind of girls.
Greetings from
Missouri, which I'm sure is not as cool as Finland is.
I highly doubt it. Yeah. Mindy says she only read excerpts from the Odyssey. Yeah, we read the whole damn thing.
Did you really?
Yeah.
We read excerpts.
Really?
Man,
we read the whole thing.
You went through it.
Yep.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not that long though. The Odyssey is a pretty short book. Isn't it? Am I thinking of the right thing?
I thought I remembered it being, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. Am I thinking of something else?
Are you thinking of like the Divine Comedy?
No.
I thought the Odyssey was pretty short. Maybe I read some sort of abridged version of it and I didn't know it. That's possible.
Murphy has some feelings right now.
Yeah.
I don't know how well you guys can hear him.
Anyway, I guess we'll sign off. We'll see you September 16th. We're marking it on our calendar.
We're actually going to remember it this time.
September 16th
we'll
at
be there.
6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you everyone for joining us, and sorry for the fuck up and late notice on this live show.
So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.